All right, it is time for some daily quests where all of your good quests begin. And who better to start your adventure off than the Trinity Game Masters? So first off with me, old news, I know it's been several weeks, but apparently New World puts out some good statistics, and one of which they killed 8 million turkeys. That's a heck of a lot of turkeys.
Poor
Turkeys
turkeys.
obviously got you food and feathers for arrows. My friend Erob, who I gave a key to, tried to kill some turkeys, but apparently did not successfully do it. So, anyways, 8 million turkeys were killed during the 1 week ish preview. Dark Age of Camelot celebrates their 19th year, and they have a diorama quest as well as RBR bonuses in the ending November 3rd. That is the first MMO game that I ever played. And so therefore it has some nostalgia. I have tried playing it before in the past, playing it again, but it just doesn't hold anything. LA Comic-Con, for all the Comic-Cons we mentioned in the past, right? Even though this is not an MMO game con, is still planning to go on for December 2020, with COVID safety measures. So there are people who are getting a little upset with that because they're like, why are you doing this when we still have COVID? But then again, a lot of scientific data has been proving something different, that how you can actually handle yourself. All right. So if you are playing ESO, we get the house. Yes. Thanks for all the ESO players. We 100% completed the Lost Treasures of Skyrim quest, and we now can get all the beautiful things. Gene Dark on her stream, her 12-hour stream today, showed off the house, and it looks really cool. And I'm excited to get my house. Last of the daily quest for us is that Blizzard, they kind of make a game called World of Warcraft. That it's kind of an MMO, and people play it.
Wait, what's it called
coming.
again?
Yeah, Blizzard has an expansion called World of Warcraft called Shadowlands. You may have heard of it. Well, apparently they delayed it. And now, mind you, the pre-expansion patch does come up on October 13th, so you still get something of it, but nothing live. There's no date's been listed to when Shadowlands would really come out. So interesting. The pre-patch is coming. The pre-expansion is coming, but the actual game is not. And so that gives all of us, some of us, more time playing ESO. I don't know. We'll see. Or Star Wars Squadrons, which, by the way, is not an MMO and is not part of today's discussion. Guys, Shadowlands. I think Jazio made a comment earlier about the hearing about Shadowlands having issues. People were having problems. I think my son even mentioned it, the fact that there are people complaining about that. Here are all the problems with Shadowlands, and then when he actually saw whether those fixes were made, they weren't. So, good thing or bad thing they're laying this?
Everybody seems to be happy.
Yeah. I think it's fairly universal. I did see a few complaints. Most of those, however, are completely understandable, and it's in the realm of I took vacation time, and my work is really rough about planning, scheduling vacation time, and not wanting to refund it. Thus, some people are going to have that week off that it was originally planned to be released, and their bosses are not allowing them to refund. That's probably not the correct word, but their vacation time and move it to a different date. So those folks are rather frustrated because of a real life situation where now if it gets released in, say, November, December, maybe even January, although they say by 2020, the end of 2020, it should be out. And I will give some speculation later in the show, but or I could give it now, I guess. But I completely understand. My previous line of work, working as a EMT paramedic, it was the same way. We had to give our vacation time months in advance, and it was once you made it, you were stuck with that. There was no going back. You couldn't, say, "Oh, never mind. I can't do it that week. Can I have that time back?" And I'll go ahead and work that week. And unless you could find someone to swap vacations with, which just was impossible. So I understand. I completely understand, and I sympathize. Empathize, I guess, would be the more correct term with those folks that had that situation going on. But for the most part, as far as the game itself goes, it was pretty unanimous that we all agreed this needed to happen, and we really didn't think it would, because we figured what would happen is the studio would go to their bosses at Activision Blizzard and they would say, "We want our money. No, we're not going to do this. We're not going to postpone it. It's going to make people mad." And no, but they did. They okayed it. And I applaud them. They needed it. I wouldn't say the game is a complete disaster right now, but there are a lot of I don't want to say game breaking things going on with it right now, but they're not necessarily game breaking, but they're really annoyances that would have not hit audiences very well, or players as it will,
Well,
that need to be fixed. And there's definitely some issues with the covenants that there's a lot of people putting some really good ideas on the forums, and believe it or not, I think the devs are actually reading those posts, because people are actually giving good feedback. They're giving details like, this is what I hope that you guys do with these systems that you've put into the game, and listing it all out, giving their whole thoughts, not just going on there and going, Torghast sucks, Covenant suck, you guys suck, I hate you, I'm never playing your game again. That kind of stuff isn't helpful. In case y'all didn't know, that doesn't help the devs make a better game for you. But there are a lot of people that are coming out and saying, hey, step 1, step 2, step 3, this is what I'd like to see, and people going underneath them like myself on the forums and saying, kudos to that right there above, listen to that, that's a great idea. And we need more of that. And I think I don't think, I know the devs are listening, or they wouldn't have
well, I
done
get
this.
that, but here's the thing I am wondering about. So
Okay.
October 26th was supposed to be the release date. And
Yes.
now they've postponed it, and you're saying it could possibly still be 2020. So like 1, maybe 2 months. Pre-expansion is still coming out on October 13th. That is still happening. So clearly they are moving toward this direction. So if you never buy Shadowlands, you are going to be into this. So I guess means that this is a unique story. We'll talk about it more later in more detail in another part of our discussion. But the fact that they're doing pre-expansion now, October 13th, means they're not that far away, or there is such a disconnect between pre-expansion and Shadowlands itself. They can afford to wait 1, 2, maybe even to 2021.
From what I see, there is a disconnect between the two, just by nature that the pre-patch content is already working really well. That isn't the issue. The issue is with Covenants, with Torghast, with the mob, with all the other
Okay.
systems that are Shadowlands specific, that are going to come during retail release of the expansion, not the pre-patch. The pre-patch stuff is pretty solid. There are a couple little tweaks that they need to make, but they'll be fixed by the 13th easily.
Okay.
And if I was going to go out a limb, I do not believe that they would have postponed it if it was only for 1 or 2 weeks. I am pretty certain that they want at least another month's
Well, there's
worth
no
of
date though.
time.
There's no
I know
date.
there's no date, so that makes you. It would not shock me to hear that this is a mid to late November,
May
maybe even.
2021.
Do you think so?
Like New
Oh
World.
no, they wouldn't do that.
I mean, New
No.
World effectively
I mean,
postponed their whole thing for a year.
I think they
mean-
took some cues from Amazon Game Studios. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I'm not going to disagree with you. I hear what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think that there is something to that, but I don't. No, they're not going to wait till May, man.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have enough money, or I bet you money, but I don't. I've got an empty Starbucks cup here.
Solomon, do you have any words to say about this whole World of Warcraft delay?
Ditto.
All right. Okay. All right. That was my dailies. We're not going to pass on to Sajazio for his dailies.
Okay.
What you got? What are you leading us?
Okay, so of course, my major excitement and major news was what we just discussed with World of Warcraft, and then I just want to just brush over that real quickly, and then I'll get up to the other topics. Kudos to you guys and gals on the dev team, and even the management over at Blizzard, and that are working on the game. Not necessarily Active Blizzard. Well, you know what? I am going to give Active Blizzard some kudos. You know what? You deserve it because you could have said no,
True.
and you could have just said, "Nah, just we'll fix it with the first major patch, just like you did with BFA." I'm sure you heard my disgruntlement there. So you know what? Kudos to all of you, great men and women. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. It does suck, and I do empathize with the people that took vacation time that cannot take it back and can't move it. That really is horrible. I feel for all of you. I really do. That's a horrible position to be put in. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
But man, that's just brilliant. Amazon Game Studios did the same thing, and I gave them their kudos for that. I'm still giving them kudos for that. It was needed, and I just would say, all you other game studios, especially the MMO ones that us three guys love, take notes here. If you need to move it, if it's not ready, just postpone it. It's okay to postpone a game.
Right. It is.
We don't like it necessarily because we want to play your game. We want your product as quickly as we can get it, but we don't want it broken, and we don't want a really sloppy performing game or poorly performing game. We want it to be working like you want. We know that you want it to work because you want us to keep playing it, and you want us to keep paying for your nice steak dinners. Hopefully you can afford a
Absolutely.
steak dinner. Although you guys and guys and gals that live down there in Los Angeles probably are still going to Mickey D's and Taco Bell. I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that. The cost of living sucks down there.
Pollo Loco.
Ugh, man, I haven't been there in a long time. Good chicken though. But moving on from that, again, kudos. You guys rock. Thank you for doing this for us. And hopefully we can get this all fixed, and it'll just be one of our favorite expansions of all, the last
We'll
16
find out.
years of the game. Pre-expansion, I'm going to be there. Hopefully I can get these two guys in there, and we'll be playing through that, and we can plan.
13th of October.
Yeah, 13th of October. There is going to be plenty of stuff. We've got the level crunch. We've got the stats are getting crunched. Everything's getting crunched down, and it's going to make leveling so much easier, so much smoother, and a lot less overwhelming for new players like Solomon over here, although he has played in the past, but it's been a long time. So all you guys and gals that want to play with us, this is the expansion to come play with Kenneth and Solomon SK and Serge Azil right
I'm
now.
excited to see about my Alliance Druid, who I played for so long, see how he gets level squished down.
Yeah, I don't want to, as I said last week, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's really fun. It's really fun getting started with the level 1 character. That new area really does a really brilliant job of teaching you the basics of the game, as well as some advanced features. It doesn't go real deep, but it's enough to get you started, to get you rolling. And the leveling experience is fun. Again, at least that's my opinion, but being able to get to level 10 and then you get to choose which expansion you want to level through works really well with most of the expansions. There is some tweaking still going on a little bit with a few of them. And they really, I was going to do Warlords of Draenor because doing the dailies, you were able to level very quickly. You got a lot of experience. In fact, that was the fastest expansion and recommended one for existing players to level their alts through. However, Blizzard heard us talking about it and said, "Oh, we need to nerf that." So that's no longer the case.
Okay.
But the next best I think would be Legion. So just take it from me that you might want to go
All
through
right.
Legion. So the VR game that we were talking, we were talking off of the stream, I believe, Elysia.
Yeah.
Man, howdy. I donated a little bit towards that Kickstarter because it looked like a cool game. Fun fact, I don't even have a VR headset. But I plan on getting one eventually. They were asking $60K on the Kickstarter, and they walloped it almost just short of $100K.
And as of
It was
today, October
yeah,
3rd, 6:24 p.m., there's still 10 hours to go if you still
yeah.
want to kickstart it.
You can still help out. I believe I just looked about an hour ago, and it was 152.4K.
That's
If
right.
he's looking at it, is it still there? Okay.
152.657.
Oh, there we
And
go.
apparently, I mean, the game, I never heard of this game studio until online packs, but Team 21, 30-year-old studio, been around for a while, right? They call themselves a small indie studio, but Team 21, but it has some pretty good titles in our hands. So
Yeah.
that's good background, good funding. So I don't know if I will do this or not. I have too many other games I've kickstarted.
Yeah, but you have a VR headset already,
I
so why
know.
The next one that I saw was the Pantheon that I have mentioned several times on the show as well, because it's ran or being developed by a bunch of old EverQuest guys, as well as some World of Warcraft Classic and other games have come together. Pantheon is going to be a game that is more towards the hardcore players that like having a little rougher experience and a challenge in the game. It's definitely heavy-handed EverQuest style MMO. They showed off their Dire Lord class. Oh gosh, I can't remember what day. Anyway, it was last week, and you can catch that on YouTube if you're interested in it. It looks like a lot of fun. I mean, every class that they've shown so far has looked like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it as a former EverQuest player. That's was my second MMO. It looked really cool. And then we had Ashes of Creation, which I know a lot of you guys and gals are looking forward to. And I at first, I've been off and on with it. Right now I'm on. I'm looking forward to it. I do not think it's the WoW killer. Don't put that in my mouth. But it does look like it's going to be a lot of fun. They were showing off their underwater mounts, and I was not sure what to expect with that because we have underwater mounts with World of Warcraft and with some other MMOs that are they're okay. World of Warcraft does underwater stuff pretty poorly. That's just my opinion. Some people disagree with me, but these were really cool. And there is a 4K if you've got a monitor that'll show you that, or a television set. There is a 4K video showcasing those on YouTube as well. If you want to check those out and see what they look like and how they perform, they're pretty cool. I thought they were designed really well, so we'll see. But other than that, I guess we can pass it off to Solomon.
All right. Solomon's turn for some dailies. What do you got? You're gonna lead us.
One sec. Let me. Okay.
Ditto. Okay.
Yep, I'm done. On to you, Dad.
Well, what he originally wanted to talk about was squadrons, but we're not doing that. That's not an MMO, sir.
It's not, but we're not talking about it for other reasons.
Squadrons.
I do. If
what
this
we thought.
wasn't strictly an MMO show, I think Kenneth and I would want to talk about
Right.
it too. Just so y'all know.
I wouldn't.
After show.
We'd talk
Stay for the after show.
I wouldn't. Anyways. I mean, not strictly an MMO, but one of the more popular titles that came out was Genshin Impact. It does have online co-op features, and it's a pretty interesting title. A lot of people. It's kind of like one of those games that's like that took everybody by surprise, actually, because you didn't really hear a lot about it. I've been talking about it for almost a year now, but it finally came out, and you see some popular streamers playing it, and then that got other popular streamers to play it, and it just started blowing up, but for really good reasons. Yes, it does have gacha mechanics, unfortunately, but in my opinion, it's really not that bad if you're used to playing other gacha games such as Epic 7. If that's another game that you play, then Genshin Impact is pretty tolerable, in my opinion. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time on that, just because again.
So
it's not
this
an
week,
MMO.
I told my son, I said, what game is coming out Friday? And he's like, Genshin Impact? I go, no. He's like, I know Zero has been downloading. He goes, he was like surprised that I even knew the name of the game. I go, well, that's because Solomon and Jazeel mentioned it. It was Star Wars Squadrons I was thinking of, but okay.
That's funny. You're welcome, Dad.
Just so everybody knows, it's not an MMO. It does have co-op after adventure level 20, I believe, that you can party up with your friends. But if you're into RPGs, man, I know people keep comparing it to Breath of the Wild, and I see the comparison, but it absolutely is worth the download. There are gacha mechanics in it, as Solomon said. But
it's a good game.
They're really not that intrusive, and they're not.
Right.
I have so far got away with playing the free version. It kind of reminds me of ESO in a way that you can pay for ESO Plus, but if you just want to buy to play, of course that's buy to play. But if it were free, just imagine. It's not necessary. You don't have to, and you don't really feel forced to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do pay a little bit extra, or a lot, if you've got really deep pockets and you want to support them, you do get some pretty neat little bonuses. So, yeah,
I'm digging it so far.
And it looks beautiful too, by the way.
Graphically, I think it's subpar, but because it's, again, as you said earlier, it has that Breath of the Wild aesthetic, it works.
Right.
That's why everybody says it looks like a beautiful game, because for what it is, try making a game like this, but like make it look like Black Desert. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't really fit, because it's just a completely, I guess, different genre, I guess, if I had to use that word for lack of a better term.
Right.
But
interrupted you there for a minute.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. That's why we're doing this, right? To have a discussion. Anyways, another thing that I talked about this week in one of my episodes was the City of Heroes Homecoming. And they're doing certain updates, Halloween events. But what caught me off guard was the amount of money it takes to uphold these servers, which was
good point,
just under $4,700 per month.
Per month.
Somebody is forking over almost $5,000 per month just so people could have that nostalgic feeling of playing this game. Right. Yeah. And here's the thing though, because it's a rogue server, one of the things that you cannot do is earn a profit. The moment there's microtransactions and you pocket the money, you're for sure going to get shut down by NCSoft. And so I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know if they have like a under the table donation system or something like that, or like the person that's upholding this these rogue servers just have deep pockets. Maybe he or she is just like makes 7-figure income and they're able to do this, whatever.
Some can,
yeah, some can, but it's just insane, like the amount of like fans that this IP garnered, so much in fact that again, somebody out there said it's worth the $5,000 every month to put this up out there so others could enjoy it. That to me is pretty crazy, and pretty admirable too, in a sense, because I know there's a lot of other people that's probably like very thankful for the deep pockets that these people have. Again, I don't know if they could get away with like setting themselves up as a non-profit organization. I don't know what was like 3014C5, whatever it's called. Maybe they could get away with doing that, but even then, I'm a little wary. So again, I'm not a lawyer, nor am I a software engineer or developer, so I don't know the intricacies of that. But just know, that if you set up your own rogue server for whatever game that you want to play, just know that you're probably going to be forking over around that sum of money just to keep it up if that's something that you're looking to do yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Skyforge is headed to Nintendo Switch. I thought was pretty interesting. Skyforge is one of those MMOs that don't get talked about a whole lot, but I find that a really, really interesting because it's considered a sci-fi MMO. But if you look at the previews, it looks more like fantasy. So I guess they're like added. To me, in my opinion, it more looks like a fantasy MMO with sci-fi elements to it. So it kind of makes me want to play it and give it a try a little bit. It did come out back in 2017, so it's not
really?
Okay. It's not an older game, old in a sense like, Dark Age of Camelot, as we were talking about earlier. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Another game that's not an MMO, but I thought I should cover anyways, just briefly here, real quick, because it made such huge headlines for all the wrong reasons, and that's the fact that, excuse me, CD Projekt Red and their Cyberpunk 2077 game came under huge scrutiny because of this whatever crunch time broken promise. I think it's a load of crap. I think it's just the media totally dogpiling on a game or on a company because of their past sort of sins, if you will. I'm trying to word this in a way where it doesn't get too political, but CD Projekt Red in the past has been in the limelight not for the best of reasons because of certain PC terms that they didn't use or used or whatever you want to call it. And ever since, I feel like there's a large number of people within the game journalist industry or crowd or whatever you want to call it that really has it out for CD Projekt Red. Not only that, these people, I'm going to use a blanket statement, typically don't like successful companies, and CD Projekt Red is probably one of the most successful companies in the market right now in terms of brand loyalty and just sheer amount of hype and anticipation and just all of that right now. By far more than EA and Activision for sure, even if the numbers don't reflect that. And so, in my opinion, all these articles saying that, they went against their promise, we need to unionize, this is the reflection of how evil, the industry is and stuff like that, I think it's a bunch of BS. Sorry, I don't know if that's Christian friendly.
It's also
bologna and sausage.
What we think in America versus Poland.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
that too.
Culture, different. I mean, different. Thought philosophy. When I watched one of the panels in PAX Online, they were talking about the fact that all these different Polish games, right, coming out and talk about their history. And one of the histories is that they were under communism.
Right.
They could not get all the best of the West, and so eventually they became free. And so they're really making up for lost time, being a capitalistic country in a I don't know what their constitution republic type thing, right? But they're making up for lost time. And so it makes you wonder, like, well, but still, there's still some cultural things there that maybe how they do things is different than we do in America. So why are you going to enforce or put down them for doing that when it's just not the way they do things?
There's so many things I want to add to that, but I can't because again, we're gonna get political. I don't want to do that. So I'll keep my I'll bite my tongue for now. But that is a very good point, though. I completely agree with you on that, Ken. I'll just say that much. So, but at the end of the day, they're getting compensated. CD Projekt Red said that they will give its employees 10% of their 2020 profits. And again, I don't know how much that is, but considering Cyberpunk 2077 is the most pre-ordered game in the industry right now, if not in gaming history in general, I would argue, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty sizable chunk of change. And I don't see other companies like EA and Activision doing that. Certainly not Activision Blizzard after they laid off 2,000-3,000 employees in the beginning of this year. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I Upper Echelon Games, another YouTuber who talks about current events and gets a lot more political than I do, made a great point, and I would highly watch his video on his take on why all this negative publicity that CD Projekt Red has been getting is a bunch of bologna and sausage. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. And right. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for the news on my end. So
all right, time for some story quests. Time for some Trinity Bro opinions with our Trinity Story Quest. And as Yoshi says, quest time. All right, so we talked about in the past about different ideas of games you want to see in MMOs. Okay, so I was thinking about this playing Star Wars Squadrons because I've also played Star Wars Old Republic. And I've also played Fallout 4, which is a first-person shooter made into an MMO. I want to put out there the question to the Trinity Bros: would you play a first-person shooter that's based on an MMO title? In other words, what if World of Warcraft became a first-person shooter? Would you play it? And the flip side, though, is would you want a first-person shooter, say like Call of Duty, to be an open-world MMO? Solomon, what do you say?
I'm willing to definitely try all sorts of games. I don't see why not. I'm not very, I don't know what's the word, like dogmatic about how or what an MMO should be like. And even then, even if I were very, very hard, like very, what's the word am I looking for? Stubborn about the definition of an MMORPG and what it should or shouldn't look like. Excuse me. It's gonna change anyways, and it already has. That's why we've already having the discussion about what constitutes an MMO. What characteristics does it necessarily have to have for it to consider an MMO? And it kind of ties on along to what this topic is about. So yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, I think I believe back in 2010 or something like that, there was like these rumors, or not even a rumor. No. It was a mod. I think a bunch of people were trying to make like a Starcraft MMO, but it was a mod from the Starcraft engine, but then they had to shut it down because Blizzard didn't like what they were doing or something like that. But I know a lot of people were looking forward to that because, again, even in 2010, MMOs was still a pretty big thing, even bigger than what it is now, I would argue. And so, yeah, it was a project that a bunch of people were looking forward to and very curious about what it would look like. And so, if I remember correctly, I think that had a first-person shooter sort of style as well. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if it was kind of different. Maybe third person would probably fit that sort of genre pretty well, too. Again, knowing what I know about the StarCraft lore. Yeah, I think it's kind of going in that direction anyways, because we have another game from Korea that really isn't an MMO, but it has a lot of MMO elements called Crossfire. That's like hugely insanely popular in Korea and China right now. I think it has like over 1 billion registered users, and yet nobody's ever heard of that game here. But it's being ported over by Microsoft. And what's really interesting about what Microsoft is doing is that instead of just copy and pasting whatever they have in South Korea and China and just putting it over here with an English translation, they're actually giving that game a single player story with its own, dialogue, with its own, lore and all that stuff. And it looks very similar to what you see in Metal Gear Solid. And that completely surprised me and caught me off guard because, a capitalistic company at least, is all about making profits, increasing the margin, decreasing the capital that is required to make a game. So it would make sense just to kind of copy and paste the game, port it over here so you maximize the profits. But Microsoft was like, hey, let's add more. Let's add but let's add more in a way that doesn't even have to do anything with the multiplayer aspect of the game, because it is a multiplayer game. It's kind of like, I don't know, like Valorant or CS:GO, even maybe that kind of style, but again with more MMO aspects and characteristics to it. So I see the trend a little bit going towards that direction anyway, based upon that one game. But is it something that other companies will do in the future? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know. And another game that I want to bring up now that I was when I was talking about it is called Plan 8, and that's a game being developed by Pearl Abyss. No, Kakao Games. Maybe it might be published by Pearl Abyss. I'm not sure, but again, that's also a shooter game, but I'm not exactly sure if it's a first person. I think it's a third person shooter, and that is also a game that's supposed to have sort of MMO elements to it. But again, nobody really knows too much about the game because it was announced last year in 2019, G-Star in Seoul, South Korea. No, it's either Seoul or Busan, South Korea. I can't remember which town or city it was in. But again, a company that's been known to make MMOs is going a different direction and making a shooter. And so it had a lot of people thinking, will it still be an MMO? And the short answer is, for the most part, it seems like, but again, take that with a grain of salt, because again, no one really knows anything much about the game. But just judging from the trailers, just judging from the gameplay that we saw so far, it looks really interesting. I am very excited about the game, just because, again, it's so different from what we are seeing these days of just fantasy games, not just MMOs, but just fantasy games in general that we've been receiving with role-playing games and whatnot. So that's why I think I'm a huge fan of other games such as Star Citizen, which is also a first-person shooter, if you want to call it that. But it isn't first-person, but there's just so many things that you could do in the game, like when you're in the ship driving vehicles, and it does also offer its own PvP where you're a space marine or a privateer or something like that, and you go head to head with one another and shoot each other like in an actual first-person shooter, with sometimes with no gravity, which makes things really interesting. So again, little bits here and there that I'm seeing within the industry is going towards that direction of what you said earlier, Ken, in my opinion. And so I fully embrace it. I fully looking forward to it. The only thing that's a little weird is that with an RPG, you spend so much time making your character look a particular way, and if it's in first person, you don't get to see it, so it's not as impactful, but at least you still have that option. Again, as you said earlier, I played a lot of Fallout 4, and I put a lot of time into making my character look a certain way, and I primarily play in first-person mode. And, I wish I could play in third person, but I just can't. Like, the way the mechanics works, and just my brain just can't seem to adjust very well in third person with that game, because I played in first person for so long. But, you can make sacrifices here and there to enjoy the game and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Fallout 4, I play in third person. And that's the one thing, that's one of the games I thought about, was the fact that it translated or tried to translate into an MMORPG. Mind you, it's only 26 people per server. I was thinking about the fact that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is coming out. And even then, Odyssey and Origin were both open world. And a lot of the games, these first person shooter games, are advertising huge open world. So you spend more time in it. But you're like, my problem with Fallout 4 is that I wanted to share it with people. I want to share it with people. That's why, if Assassin's Creed turned into an MMO, that'd be kind of cool. But that the background, the whole infrastructure is going to be a lot harder to do. And so I get why they don't do it.
True.
So Introspect posted, I think the first Guild Wars could translate well into an FPS. I remember the arenas, and it felt like a deathmatch. That being said, I guess several MMOs could work that way. And he brings a good point, or she, or whatever. The point is the fact that Blizzard, I mean, especially with World of Warcraft, created Battlegrounds for an idea of being like a first-person shooter type thing. I mean, that's why when League of Legends first came out, I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. You basically are doing champions, and you're kind of in a fight to win something, even though that's more of a MOBA than a first-person shooter. So, Jazeel, what are your thoughts on this topic?
My brain goes in two different directions, both of the future and the past with that. As far as the past, an obvious one would be a true MMO. By definition, version of the 1860s through the 1850s, 1860s, somewhere in there, with the Wild West North American conquest and moving across the United States. I know that that's kind of been done.
Red Dead Online?
Yeah, but I could just see them, as far as like a specific theme on any kind of pop culture thing, maybe, of course, I like Kenneth, and although he's a little bit older than me and probably remembers the movies better than I do, but like the old Clint Eastwood, like Handful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More, and that whole trilogy, Good, Bad, and the Ugly was the last part of that trilogy.
Who's Clint Eastwood?
Oh my goodness!
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He was the mayor of Carmel, California, at one point.
He
really
was, and yeah,
huh,
and he did a good job too.
Huh.
Yeah, he did good things for Carmel, but we can talk about that on the after show. Yeah, he is. But I could see doing some, you could have quests where every time, huh, guys? Every time I Google every show it thinks I'm talking to it. Um, that's kind of scary, actually. I think
It
it's looking up
is.
stuff on Clint. It's looking up Clint Eastwood.
That's funny.
Nice.
You didn't say the keywords though. That's what gets
I
me.
did.
Oh, well.
But it. Did you hear it though? It does it. It's all Clint
Okay,
Eastwood.
Google.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe that's what it's. I don't know. Anyway, I think that would be really cool. And there's so many different types of quests and whatnot that you could do. I know for a fact they tried to keep it pretty secret. It was scrapped, I would say 2 years ago, 3 years ago. No, it would have been 2 years ago. They were working on an MMO that was on Starcraft. I don't know what happened. Apparently, it wasn't moving along fast enough, or maybe they were just thought it was too similar to World of Warcraft, or would pull too many people away from there instead of gaining new players. I don't know, but dude, if there's anything, I get any type of IP that I think would fit what you're talking about, an FPS with an MMO. Dude, I would love to play that. That would be so fun. I mean, the universe is already so expansive with concern to StarCraft and StarCraft 2, and it just lends itself to that. Another one that I always thought would be really cool is an MMO. For some reason, it didn't do that great in the United States and Canada over here, but Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, it was actually a comic before it became a
Right.
movie, and now apparently they are talking about doing a second one. So
Okay.
awesome! But that for those of you who saw the movie, maybe you can kind of picture what I am in my head as far as making that into an MMO. Now, problem with that would be it would really be encroaching on the whole cyberpunk thing, and it would be really hard to distinguish itself from that. The story, it has its own story, but we're already going to have a cyberpunk thing. So I don't know, and I suppose you could even go Harrison Ford with replicants and doing that whole thing as well.
Blade Runner, yeah.
Yeah, Blade Runner. Sorry, why did I not say that? That's weird.
Okay.
Didn't have enough coffee apparently. So I'm going really sci-fi, cyberpunk kind of stuff. But I mean, if you didn't go that direction, I really wish that Blizzard Activision would do a StarCraft MMO. I think that would probably really work. It just by nature.
I think that would probably be their plan B. Like if World of Warcraft just started to tank and nobody plays it anymore, and it just lost its players and no more than 2,000 concurrent players. I think that's when Blizzard would be like, "Hey, we're gonna make a StarCraft MMO now," just so they could prolong their franchises.
It'd be either that or Diablo, because Diablo.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Super popular, but I don't know that necessarily would be a first-person shooter, though.
Right.
If we're talking strictly a shooter,
I was thinking shooters, yeah.
Yeah,
like Call of
you've
Duty,
got a lot of
Battlefront. I mean, Battlefield. Sorry, just anything that's called as a first-person shooter type of thing. You can even argue Doom, or whatever,
Yeah,
I mean, COD, right? It's like because been all over there. It's a war game. It can be all over but you could do that. You could make it so that different. I don't know. Again, the biggest thing about MMOs is the whole open world and multiple people in one run zone. That's the reason why Bethesda kind of screwed up with Fallout 76. You only have 26 per. And even though they're creating these unique servers, you pay money for to create a server, they're having problems with the backbone or the structure of having more than that. Thousands of people, like World of Warcraft, seems to be hard for them.
Yeah, I think we've all said it. What we imagined when they said MMO based on Fallout, I think we all three of us had a different picture in our head of what we were going to get, and it definitely was not what we received. Not saying that it's a absolutely trash game. I mean, I have heard people that think that, but it definitely was not. I thought we were going to get a 2,000 person per server.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of let's all group up. There's raids, there's dungeons, there's all the typical stuff that you find in MMO in the Fallout universe. Especially Vegas, because that's my favorite. But
Vegas is good.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know what your opinions are. You can post it if you're watching on YouTube. Post it below, whether you're watching on Coffee RPG or at Kennethan's channel. Now we're going to move on to an escort quest where we lead you to safety, experience, and the adventure of a lifetime. So, World of Warcraft has been delayed, but the pre-patch, the pre-expansion, has not. It's coming out October 13th. So the question I have is, why play the pre-patch? Now, I've never been a fan of pre-patches. I've never been a fan of those kind of things. Like, why? I'll just wait for the actual game. I understand why they'd happen, because they download tons of stuff on your computer so that basically the day of the actual launch, you're not downloading a ton of stuff. And so you basically can jump in the game really fast. Now, this one's different. World of Warcraft is different because this one here is going a level squishing. If you never buy Shadowlands, if you happen to have the basic game, or you basically, say you stopped at Draenor, never got the Warlords or the Battle for Azeroth, you will get squished too. So with WoW level squishing, does it make sense to play a pre-expansion? It's like one of the things where this one is more different than the other things. Like, it's almost like we should. So Jaziel, should we, for a pre-patch play, actually play the expansion? Because this is different this time.
I would. Especially, I'll go through just a few of them. I actually am right now currently working on a list of reasons to do that.
Okay.
That I was going to put on Twitter and all my social media, but the one thing is that this is they've done crunches before, twice before, and
Really?
yes, but not level crunch. They've done
Okay.
stat crunches.
Yeah, good point.
This is probably the biggest round of changes overall that they have made for a pre-patch, with taking into consideration everything back to the Burning Crusade. This is huge. It is going to make it so much easier, like I said earlier, to level and to get into the game and be able to play with your friends quickly, as opposed to how it is right now, where if your buddies are all 120 and you're just now starting the game, it's overwhelming. It's like it's going to take me so long to catch up to all of you and be able to play with you. Which again is something that we've, Kenneth and you and I have applauded about Elder Scrolls Online, is you can immediately play with your friends no matter what level they are, or how many championship points that they have, or hero points. Yeah. Anyway, champion points. That was right. I play too many MMOs. I'm getting the names mixed up. I would say some other things to take into consideration are things that are only going to be available during the pre-patch, and once the game goes retail, they will no longer be available. If you're into collecting the pre-patch specific items, such as Transmog, which a lot of folks are into, including myself, you're going to want to grab that. In previous expansions, the transmogs haven't been that great. I thought the Legion ones were kind of ugly, and that's just my opinion. But there are green and yellow, and some of them just didn't look that great, depending on what race and class that your character was. But most of the other ones were pretty cool. They looked good. I don't put them on that much because I usually put on my mythic gear or whatever. But because it tends to have more sparklies and shinies on them. But if you're just into wanting a shared experience with your friends of that pre-patch content, seeing the lead up to, the expansion, you can't put a price on those memories, and being able to experience all that, the invasion that's going to be taking place again. I'm going to try to be very vague and not give away any spoilers for those who don't want it. But it is a pretty fun thing. Now, the fact that we're going to have pre-patch a lot longer than what we thought, several weeks, possibly longer than what we thought. I don't think there's any rush to get on right on the 13th. But if your friends are hopping on, you might as well. I think it's going to be a worthwhile experience. There are going to be pets and mounts and things that you can pick up, and transmogs. And also, if you want to be able to right away on day one when it does release, you want to go right into Shadowlands and start your questing in that new area, you're going to need to be level 50. And so if, like Solomon, you've been away from the game for a long time, or your friends have finally talked you into playing the game and you've never played it before, absolutely, yes, come play during the pre-patch, get your character or characters leveled up. It's also a great time to see how those characters play after the stat and the level squish. Maybe when you played during Warlords of Draenor, or maybe you played during Legion and you left, or even early BFA and you said, I don't like this, I'm going to go play something else, like Kenneth and I did. We went and played Elder Scrolls Online. Maybe you back then you thought, oh, I really love my Fury Warrior, but a lot of these classes, they play different now. So
you're saying, in other words, that, I don't know about any other games besides World of Warcraft, but you're saying pre-patches are well worth it because it gets you started getting ready for the new content. This one more so than any other one because it's so much more involved. But even past ones, the idea was yes, you want to jump into the pre-patches because then you can get ready. There's the time frame that, or just overall. Now you're saying that for Shadowlands, that I know the level switches are going down to 40, right? Or is it 50?
It's 50.
50,
If you're level 120, you will be 50.
Yeah, which means to go into Shadowlands, you got to be 60. Right?
No, you level 50 to 60 in Shadowlands.
Okay, yeah. So I thought. So in other words, if you level switch into your characters in World of Warcraft with a pre-expansion, and you're not 50 yet, you can go ahead and level up to 50, and then you're ready for Shadowlands.
That's right. And there is a really good, it's on the realwarcraft.com site and also on wowhead.com. There is actually on Wowhead's probably the easier to read one. It will show you if you are an established player, you do have characters already that you, like I said, if you've been gone for a while, or even if you're playing right now and you're like, oh, I'm level 48, what level am I going to be on the 13th? They have a chart that shows you, but also another way to do it is you just divide that whatever level that your character is by 2.4%, and that'll show you roughly where you're going to be at.
Okay. So Solomon, I know you played Star Wars Old Republic a lot more than I have. I think you've seen pre-patches for them too. I don't know if it's similar to WoW, but what are your thoughts about this? Should you play a pre-patch, play expansion, as we suggest here, or just wait for the game to come out?
I think it depends on the game and what it's trying to accomplish. In terms of pre-patches, I don't remember, at least with Star Wars The Old Republic, or actually any MMO that I've played so far, of pre-patches having that kind of significant impact and such a huge change up in the way the game plays as much as what Shadowlands is doing. I experienced none of the pre-patches in World of Warcraft, obviously, because again I haven't played since Wrath of the Lich King, but like even then, like everything that I've played, everything from Aeon to Star Wars Old Republic to Tabula Rasa to Black Desert Online, Guild Wars 2. I mean, I could go on, obviously. Like, I don't remember there being like a huge thing where you do a pre-anything, in this case, a pre-patch, for a lead up to a big expansion or an update. It just doesn't happen in other MMOs. Now that's not to say, you know, World of Warcraft is the only game that does that, but it just doesn't ring a bell to me in any MMO that I've played. So this is, you know, when we get into it, this is definitely going to be a first for me before Shadowlands comes out. So, but again, considering how much the game is going to change and how much just everything is just going to shift, like, I think you would need to do a pre-patch before Shadowlands comes out for all the established players who already played the game, because again, just to kind of you know, for lack of a better term, shove this, you know, right on your lap all of a sudden, you know, and just have this hectic flood of people also pour in, and you know, the long server queues and all the bugs that the devs have to fix. Yeah, it's just a complete mess. So I get why they have to do a pre-patch, and it's very wise of them, in my opinion, to do so, especially considering World of Warcraft is the biggest MMORPG on the market right now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out, but definitely looking forward to it regardless.
Yeah, that's what the biggest thing that got me was that, you know, we were planning on doing a show for the launch of Shadowlands, and and I know Jazeel mentioned we got to get on the pre-patch. We can start leveling up, get ready for Shadowlands itself. Okay, so yeah, you want to try it out, and then seeing that we had people of interest actually literally thinking about having a show, a launch party of some sort for the pre-expansion. I'm like, I mean, okay, fine, right? I know the level squish. It just kind of got me. It's like, wow, should you bother? I mean, I was gonna, knowing that they delayed it, I'm like, I'm gonna delay my World of Warcraft return. But with the pre-expansion coming October 13th, I'm like, well, okay, fine. I guess I'll jump in anyways. But that's why I thought I asked the question. Kind of interesting, you know.
Just to cut in real quick, because I actually thought this was, I misheard you. I thought we were talking specific about World of Warcraft, but I just posted in our Discord that, you know, ESO does kind of, they don't call it pre-patch, but they do a really good job of, especially if there's a new chapter coming out like we just had, they do a really good job of having a free DLC that leads up.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I would say it does happen. It's called, you know, it's named different, but a rose by any other name is still a rose, right?
Yeah, you're right. Because the Greymoor, when it first came out, there actually was a quest to get you going and get you close to Skyrim, and even gave you a taste of what Skyrim is going to be before Greymoor actually launched. That's a very good point. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, there are definitely positives if you want to get some of the content early. So you want to do the pre-patch. You don't have to. Let you just, you know, yeah, that's fine. Okay, that we escorted you well. I hope you enjoyed that. Now it's on to world events, which we had to cancel. October 26th was going to be our World of Warcraft Shadowlands pre-launch, pre-party, and we don't have a date yet, okay? So we were looking into, haven't quite planned it out yet, but looking into an October 13th pre-expansion patch event. There are people interested in some kind of like tournament of sorts, a dueling tournament in World of Warcraft. So we're going to look into that. So that might be something you're going to hear about. We'll let you know next week about that. But October 13th is a pre-expansion patch event, possibly. So hang out for that. Obviously, we're going to still do a Shadowlands pre-launch event when it happens. We're still going to do a New World May of next year pre-launch event. So stay tuned. We'll still be doing that. All right. We are now going to go AFK. Our quests are done. The dungeons are looted. And crafting dailies have been completed. So it's time to go AFK. Solomon, where can we find you when you're AFKing?
Find me at Coffee and RPGs on YouTube. Same as ever. I got again, I said this last week, but I'll say it again. I crossed over the 4,000 hour threshold that you need to get partnered with YouTube, but I still need about 600 subscribers. There's two goals. There's two thresholds that you need to cross in order to get partnered with them, and I accomplished one of them, and I'm working on the other. So if you guys could help out, I definitely would appreciate it. It would mean a lot. It would mean the world to me, actually, if you could help me get there. But again, only subscribe if you feel as though I'm giving you what's the word am I looking for? Giving you the
what you love to hear and see. I don't know, the content,
the worth.
Like,
oh my goodness, Sir Jaziel, I told you I can't talk today either.
I'm with you.
Oh wait, hang on. What's the word? Yeah, whatever. Only subscribe if you feel as though you're getting the blank out of my content. The blank, the
benefit,
not the benefit, the worthness.
Worthness, yeah.
Why
don't you just go and subscribe anyways? Okay, just click the button, hit the bell,
subscribe.
All that kind of stuff. So okay, so Jaziel, where can we find you when you're AFKing from their show?
Pretty much on my stream, Sir Jaziel. I still am just really focused on World of Warcraft. For those who watch the show today, I did something that a lot of people were like, "Whoa, why did you do that? That's just crazy. I would never do that." I actually decided that I was going to make one of every race and every class, so there's different combinations. I did delete some 120s, some 100s, but to me, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal because everything's getting crunched down, and it is so easy to go from 1 to 50 in the pre-patch and in Shadowlands that it's just not that big of a trog anymore. So, or slog, I should say. I guess is the proper term, but. And you can get your characters back if you change your mind later. It's not that hard. You just go in there and say, "I want my character back. That was a mistake." But so I'm doing that, mostly World of Warcraft. I was thinking about doing some Genshin Impact because I've been having a blast in that game. And then if you need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on Twitch, on Twitter. Pretty much anywhere at Sir Jaziel, one word. And I am still working on that music. I had to postpone. I just haven't had enough time to put a full EP's worth of stuff together. And I changed my mind as far as what style I was going to do. So, yeah.
What do you mean, style of song or style of genre? Or
yeah, because it is loosely just EDM. But initially, I've gone all over the place. I've experimented with trap and with lo-fi hip hop, and I've even messed around trying to make some industrial kind of stuff. And I just love music, and it's really difficult for me to just buckle myself into one subgenre of the music. But then when you put it all together, it's too chaotic. So I'm trying to focus in a little bit more so I can just put out an album that's got a certain sound and then move on to the next. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, and we'll see where it goes. I'm not promising anything, but hopefully it sounds good enough that it doesn't make people go to sleep or make their ears bleed.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you can follow me at Kennethan here. I'm on the Twitch channel, Kennethan64 on YouTube, as well as Kennethan Live on Twitter. Introspect says, "Cool, I create electronic music too." Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
You should chat with your Jaziel about that. Okay. All right. That is it for our show today. Now it's time for some people to go fishing, even though it's like Solomon's not fishing over there on the other monitor, other screen over there. I see today.
No fishing.
Okay, but anyways, you can go fishing. So that's it for the night. Thank you for being here with us, and thank you for joining with us. We'll be here next week again for assuming that nothing helps, that nothing gets in the way of IRL type stuff. But we'll see you here next week. So thank you so much.